So before we jump into the 3 different types of questions that you should definitely ask at the end of every interview, here's one thing not to do. When the interviewers are done with all of their questions, they will likely ask you if you have any. Do not say, "No, I don't have any questions at this time," or "No, I think you answered all of my questions." When you don't have any questions that are prepared for the end of your interview, this not only makes it seem like you didn't prepare for your interview, but it also seems like you might not care as much about the position, that you were not invested in preparing for the position, or that you're just not informed about the position. So whatever you do, at all costs, avoid not asking any questions at the end. Now, the interviewers may have answered some of your questions during the interview process, so make sure you have several questions prepared for the very end, just in case some of your questions were answered throughout the interview process. So there are 3 different types of questions that you should be asking at the end of your interview. These include questions about the culture, role-specific questions, and a question or questions about if they have any hesitation about you filling this position. So why should you be asking cultural-based questions? Well, first off, this gives the interviewers a chance to talk about themselves and their organization. Typically, in any conversation, the person who does the most talking about themselves feels the best after that conversation. And it has been said that interviewers who do a lot of talking end up leaving those interviews feeling better than the interviews when they didn't have a chance to do a lot of talking. So by asking cultural-based questions, you give the interviewer an opportunity to do some speaking. Asking cultural-based questions also allows you to determine if you are going to be a good fit for the position. This isn't just a one-way interview. It's not just them interviewing you. This is your opportunity to interview them as well, because you do not want to apply for a job and get into a position that is going to be a terrible fit for you. So not only do the interviewers want to make sure that you're going to be a good fit for their role, but you want to make sure that you're going to be a good fit for the organization as well, and that it will be a good fit for you. So here are 5 examples of cultural-based questions that you could ask during your interview. You could ask the interviewer, "What is your favorite part about working here in this organization?" You could also ask them, "What do you love most about your job?" You could ask a more general question, like, "What makes people stay with this organization?" You could also get into some more strategic questions, like what are the biggest challenges or opportunities that this organization or department is facing in the next 6 months to a year? And then you can also ask, how would you describe the work environment here? So these 5 questions give the interviewers an opportunity to talk about themselves and to talk about the organization in which they work. The second type of question you want to ask your interviewers are role-specific questions. So why do you want to ask role-specific questions? Well, this gives you an opportunity to clarify the expectations that you can have about the position. It also gives you a good understanding of the possible challenges and opportunities that you will face if you're selected for the role. By asking these sorts of questions, it shows the interviewers that you're genuinely interested in the position, that you're up for a challenge, and that you're forward-thinking. You're already putting yourself into the role and thinking about what it is that you might need to do in order to be successful. So here are 5 role-specific questions that you can ask at the end of an interview. Can you tell me what a typical day or week looks like in this position? What do you want the person in this position to accomplish in their first 30, 60, and 90 days? What challenges or opportunities do you foresee this position taking on in the next 6 months? How will my performance be measured in this position? What are the next steps in the interview process? Finally, the third type of question that you should definitely ask at the end of every interview is a hesitation question. Now, this is the most intimidating and scary question to ask at the end of an interview. It requires a lot of vulnerability on your part, as well as openness to whatever answer the interviewers might have for you. Asking these sorts of questions is your chance to fight for the job. It gives you an opportunity to clarify the interviewer's uncertainty that they may have about you filling the position, and it also shows the interviewers that you're open to and can handle feedback. So what are some examples of hesitation questions? Here are 5 ways that you can ask the interviewers if they have any hesitations about you filling the position. You can ask, based on what we've talked about today, is there anything that is causing you hesitation about my fit for this position? How do I compare to other candidates you've interviewed for this role? Do you have any hesitations about my qualifications? Is there anything I can clarify for you? And finally, have I answered all of the questions that you have for me? By asking these 3 different types of questions, it not only shows that you prepared for and are genuinely interested in the role, but it also gives the interviewers an opportunity to learn more about you and to possibly ask you clarifying questions or give you feedback that they may not have otherwise given you. One thing you also don't want to do is ask questions that can easily be answered by a quick Google search. So make sure that your questions are things that will require an in-depth thought process from the interviewers rather than something that could have been answered had you just done a little bit of extra research. And remember, do not say, "No, I don't have any questions," or "Nope, you've answered all of my questions throughout this process." You want to leave a memorable and positive impression on the interviewers, and you can do this by having at least 3 to 5 questions prepared for the end of your interview.